Agnes is an experiment to represent how humanity has taken care of our delicate planet. The world is something beautiful, and, like a flower, it ages in a way that is determined by how it is taken care of. Agnes acts as a metaphor of the earth. She is a small rosebush that we expected to bloom as we took care of her. She represents the earth, and we represent its people. Each of us took the responsibility to take care of her and ensure that her health and fragility is sustained as we passed her from each other's households.
So my name is Tiffany, and I was the second person to receive and take care of the plant that we've named Agnes. And as soon as I got home, I took it out of the box and I put it by the windows just to give it lots of light, and I left it in my room. Probably watered it 2 or 3 times because I had it for the weekend, and yeah, mostly tried to give it as much sunlight. I also played music because I heard that if you interact with your plant a lot, it helps it grow better, and yeah.
When I received Agnes from Tiffany, it showed the bag it once used to be carried in and is transferred to a box. I knew my commute home to Mississauga was going to be a challenge. I don't know much about plants, and whenever I get them, they often end up dying. When traveling with Agnes, the box was often left closed, depriving her of sunlight. When I got home that night, I forgot about her because I was so concentrated on other work. I didn't make time to take care of her, and she was left in the box. The next day, I woke up realizing I'd forgotten about her. She sat in an unlit area for most of the day, but I did remember to water her. I didn't see anything substantial happening to her, so I thought it was a good idea to put her outside. It was sunny, but it was cold and windy. I don't have a lot of knowledge about taking care of plants, besides the bamboo that I had gotten a while ago. Now my dad takes care of that. I neglected her the day before, so I wanted to prove to the world that I cared about Agnes. I put signs up for her that read, "Water me," and "Give me sunlight." It was about 3 o'clock when I needed to take care of other homework and responsibilities, so I didn't pay much attention to her. I thought that Melody would take care of her the next day. I also thought it was genetically modified plant, so it didn't need my loving 24/7. When I was commuting the next day, the roses were starting to wilt, and I had lost a few petals. I tried to take care of her, but it wasn't enough. I think I often forgot about it because she was just a plant.
When I received Agnes, she seemed pretty healthy. Just a few of her petals were dry, falling off, but I mean, she was just been in a box for a while. And in the morning, I decided to water her since I hadn't done it the day before, and thought, well, why not? So watered her. I just took a water bottle I had in my room with water in it and used that. Not really sure how much water I should put in it, so I kind of guessed that and improvised. So, I mean, she kind of stayed the same. Just 1 petal, or 2 actually, fell that night. I can't say that I didn't really take care of her, I just didn't really have that much time. I came around, it was 9 o'clock at night, and I had homework. I woke up really early in the morning and had to leave to school for 8. And after that, I mean, didn't really pay much attention to her. I just kind of took her along with me. I was just really busy.
Our initial concept for Agnes was for her to act as a metaphor for the earth, the environment. Being the second person to receive the plant, I was tasked with, quite blatantly, killing it off since we were trying to illustrate the results of the poor treatment of our environment. Over the course of a couple days, I tried everything to get Agnes to show some visible signs of withering. I watered her with increasingly dirty water, then salt water. The water I gave her would easily cause real harm to a human. I'm talking about inks, paints, soaps, cleaners, you name it. They were really terrible concoctions. After all that, she still didn't really show any signs of anything but natural, extremely slow withering, nothing out of the ordinary. Quite the opposite of what I thought all that dirty water and salt water would do to her. I expected her to shrivel up, wither out, dry out in maybe 6 to 8 hours after being exposed to so much salt, but that wasn't the case. I kept her in a cold basement, I deprived her of natural light. None of this seemed to have any real effect on her general well-being. I even gave her a couple shots of Smirnoff and a good portion of a can of Stella, but that did nothing. What I soon realized was that Agnes, even though she was so small, was able to withstand so much more abuse than I could. She could probably take 4 times the shots I could take, and if I had all those chemicals in me, I'd be foaming at the mouth by the end of the first day. Initially, I approached my task with malice, but by the end, when I had to give the plant to Max, I saw something completely different in Agnes. She was a real fighter. I didn't know if she was a product of genetic engineering to be able to withstand so much punishment, or if it was nature's tenacity, but either way, it helped me realize that when comparing ourselves to the structures around us, we're really quite frail. We're weak.
Alright, that sounds like a plan. Alright, I'm gonna serenade this plant right now. What? You die by tomorrow. Mozart?
Now, my parents were hardcore gardeners and they did teach me a few stuff. Even though I've never really taken care of plants in my whole life, I do know a few things which will apparently help them survive. One thing plants are supposed to really like is music, and as a result, I decided to play Agnes some sort of music every single day. I did a bit of classical, and I did a bit of Coldplay, and I did a bit of modern stuff, and I did a bit of dubstep. Hopefully that will somehow help her in surviving. Unfortunately, Agnes was rolling downhill, and in contrary to what Hudson thought, Agnes was actually dying. And she's withering, and she's unresponsive, and her petals are falling off, and she is not doing very well. She is actually dying. Another thing that I learned from my parents were that waste water you get from washing rice is actually very healthy for plants. It is because there are nutrients and minerals on the outer shell of rice, and they come off when you wash them. And if you water plants with that kind of wastewater, then it is actually very healthy for plants, and it will help them grow better. It will help them recover. And I decided to give it a shot on Agnes because, frankly, Agnes was doing very poorly and she was dying, and I don't know what I could do to save her. It was a very hard task, and I was willing to give anything a shot. And so I watered her with rice water, and I was hoping that eventually she would improve and that it would somehow save her miraculously. Unfortunately, that did not work, and despite my efforts and my roommate's efforts, we just couldn't save Agnes. And by the end of the 3rd day, Agnes died. One thing I wondered after Agnes died was that when our group members were taking care of Agnes, we treated her with neglect and kept her in a box in the basement, and Hudson was flat out trying to kill her. But no one suspected anything because Agnes was doing fine, and no one thought she was already a lost cause. And when I got her, I realized that everything just added up, and there's nothing I could do to save Agnes, and she was already out of my reach, and she died. So, when our future inherits the world from us, would our world already be a lost cause like Agnes was?